Hey guys, Pansy here. In this video I'm going to show you how to level from 1 to 61 quick in BDO, updated for 2023. We'll be going over solo leveling, party leveling, as well as power leveling. Leveling in BDO has never been easier, especially as a new player joining the game due to the advent of seasonal servers. Every new season is an opportunity for us to try out a new class and enjoy a change of scenery. Also, leveling alts is a really nice boost to your family fame for that sweet 7k family fame bonus. In this video, I'm going to make it easy for you guys to follow along. Whether you're a brand new player, starting off fresh, or an experienced player, the information in this video is going to be viable for everyone. This most recent season, I leveled up a Kuno on Seasonal to test out the leveling process, as well as test out some other stuff, like grinding in Star's End with full Pentavala. People in my last video were saying, oh, it's too hard, but I'm able to do it just fine, and other classes should have no problem at all as well. Before we get started, guys, let me tell you about the sponsor of this video, me! Over 80% of you guys are not subscribed to my YouTube channel, so please do hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you get notifications when I drop a new video or go live. Thanks, enjoy the video. Alright, first things first, before we get started with the actual leveling portion, we need to talk about XP buffs. XP buffs are going to greatly influence the pace at which you level, and I must say they are quite mandatory because the modifiers are quite cracked, without which it would be a very slow grind. So the most important thing is going to be the Lightstone set. Now, I'm not going to go over each and every single buff because there's so many in the game. I will put up a screenshot on screen, but we need to talk about the Lightstone set because it is just too good to pass up. The Lightstone set consists of 4 Lightstones of the Wind Alert combat. This gives you 25% XP each, and when combined, you get an additional 300%. So that adds to a total of 400% XP, and the only thing that gets higher than that is the 530 scroll. So this is an absolute must if you want to level up quick. Now the next thing we need to talk about is the Chenga Tome. This is worth getting because it gives you an additional 30% XP from quests if that is a route you want to go. I personally invested about 30 minutes to 45 minutes to do the quest line, and I've been using it on every character since. So I think it's 100% worth getting this, but you don't need it in order to level up. Once upon a time, leveling from level 59 to 61, the best way to do it was to level by questing, and Quest XP was the most reliable way of getting to that point because it just took so many hours to grind back then. Of course, we have a lot more XP modifiers in the game now, and it's much easier to grind, so it's not the mandatory way to do it, but it's definitely a viable option even now. So Chenga Tome, 100% worth it. Alright guys, let's start off with level 1 to 50. Now, if you are a brand new player, you definitely want to go through the main story questline. Everybody should go through Ancient Stone Chambers questline at least once, and doing the Eternal Winter questline is a really good way to level up as well. That should get you to about 56. And along with that, you'll have full Pen Naru gear, which converts to full Tri Tuvala gear, and that's a really good starting point. So if you're a brand new player, you should definitely do that. And if you're an experienced player, you can grind your way to 50 really quickly, 56 really quickly, or you could go through the quest line as well and once again get the gear and such. Now, let's say you don't have too much gear to work with and you need to grind from scratch and you're not doing the quest line. That's fine. You do have options here. If you do have some gear to work with and you're still going through the grind, you can skip through the spots as you see fit because you'll be able to grind at the higher end spots a lot sooner even without the levels. The only concern is probably going to be accuracy. You can stack that with some buffs, but otherwise this should be a fairly simple grind. Starting off, you want to get to around level 6 or 7 by grinding around this area of Forest of Seclusion. You'll find some tree spirits and wolves and such, and then you want to work your way to Western Guard Camp. You can grind this area right outside the Western Guard Camp till about level 15, 14 or 15 should be a good stopping point there, and then you work your way south. Down south, you'll find the Altarims. All around here, you'll find a bunch of mobs, and killing these all the way to around 20, 21 should be fairly easy, after which you can come west to the Biragi Den and grind here till about 27 or 28. Then at around 27 or 28, you can come to Kuroda Cave. There's a cave that goes through here, and underground is a really good place with a lot of mobs there. This can take you to around 30 to 32. That should be a good point. Then you can come up north over here to the Mascals, and I generally grind here from 32 to 33 all the way to 38 or 40. Now that depends on your class's mobility. If it's not very mobile and you're having difficulty pushing past like 38 to 40, you can immediately switch to the next spot, that is Catfish, one of our crowd favorites. You can do either Catfish or Mancha Forest, both are perfectly fine, and you can grind here all the way to level 50. Then from 50 to 56, you can come over to the Medea region, right here at Helms. Helms Post is a really easy place to grind, a lot of mobs, a lot of packs, and this is a nice place to go from level 50 to 56. I would avoid the elites if you don't have gear and if you have low accuracy. They're just a waste of time. You can get some money out of them, but we're just going for the XP, right? So we're gonna go from level 50 to 56 here, killing all the regular mob packs. Now at level 56, you want to do your Awakening and Succession quest lines ASAP. They're a really big power spike, and that's when your class starts getting fun. Once you are at level 56, you have a few options. My personal favorite, and the favorite of many others, is going to be Polyforest. Now the issue with Polys is it could be pretty crowded on a seasonal server because there's no open world PvP and people just grind over each other, but regardless, this is a really good place to level up. This is a place that I usually used until 58 or 59 at the latest. It's pretty good XP all the way until then it starts slowing down, but people still like it because of the mob density. It's really decent skill XP, as well as you get pretty decent drops now with on the seasonal server and such. But once you are capable of going to the Valencia region, I definitely recommend it. There's some pretty good spots here too. Like after 56, you can do Cadres. That has a pretty good density of mobs. There's always Centaurs, but it's only really good for money and Agris grinding, especially once you're able to one-shot them. And there's also the good old Nagas, but I don't think that's as much XP as some of the other places like Poly or Sulfur Mine and Piloku Jail are my two favorites. I always go to Sulfur Mine. As soon as I have 180 AP, along with buffs, I'm able to one-shot all the mobs. So I immediately go over here and I hunker down till like level 60 usually. I've even grinded till 61 here. It just takes a lot of time compared to other methods in the game at the moment. Alright guys, another great spot to be leveling up to level 60, maybe even 61 if you want to put in the hours, but I think 60 is a good point to get to over here. But Mari Cave is a really good spot. This is where I leveled my hash and my sage to 60. Actually, it's been a couple years, but it's still a good spot. It's a pretty simple grind. All you do is come and hit these gravestones over here, and it'll start spawning a bunch of mobs, and they'll be attracted to the gravestone, and you just have to defend it. You have to kill the mobs before they kill this, and then once this is destroyed, you just move on to the next one, and you can just bounce back and forth between the two, and it should be a pretty chill grind there. So in terms of gear, I'd recommend you have at least 200 AP to have a comfortable grind here. Anything less, I think it might not be as efficient. But once you get to like that 220 point, you should be like breezing through here. In terms of XP and drops, I think this is a solid place to be in seasonal servers. Even in non-seasonal, it's good. It's just that in seasonal servers, you get the extra drops with the time-filled blackstones and whatnot, and that really helps out the money per hour and offset some of the cost of having to stay at a grind spot for XP versus somewhere you're making more money. So anyway, it's a good spot. It's a really chill grind. Completely forgot about it for a long time, but it's still here. It's still dope. Now, another favorite of mine in the recent alts that I've leveled up is Murmox. Murmox is recommended to be a party grind, but you can do it solo. You can just buff up and go ham. Yeah, whether it's solo or with a party, it's really good XP. Like, I was pleasantly surprised because previously it was only efficient to do it as a party, and then it was giving us less money, but they did buff it. And you know, XP is good, money's good. Definitely a spot worth investigating if you're looking to grind your way to 61. But usually the route I'd go is as soon as I'm able to get to sulfur mines and start grinding there with 180 AP. I usually did that, and then I'd immediately go questing. From level 59 or from 60, you can start questing. Before, we used to recommend from 59 to 61. That was the most optimal way, but right now, I grind to 60 really easily. So I would definitely say you can switch over to questing at level 60 to 61. It's super quick. Before, we had to stretch all the way from 59 to 61, and we had to get the Chenga Stone. We had to do all the quests, which took us from northwest of Calphion all the way through Kama, through Drigan, and it was a long slog. It took a few hours if I remember right, but once we knew the route, it got a little bit faster. But if you're just going from level 60 to 61, it's super quick to quest. So I will link in the description down below my 59 to 61 guide. I made it a couple years ago, but it is still valid. Leveling by questing hasn't changed at all. I'm sure there are new quests in the game, but these quests are really easy, and I 100% recommend it. All right, for questing to level up, we're going to start out at Brelin Farm. Brelin Farm has quite a few quests around. You can follow that in-depth guide for the actual path around here, but it's going to take you a little bit to the supply port down below in the northwest of Brelin Farm, and you're going to go back and forth a little bit. You finish that, then you go to Calphion Northwestern Outpost, and whatever quests you get for killing mobs at Star's End, if you don't have gear, you can just skip them. It's not a big deal at all. I know there's a quest down here in the port over here, and also a quest off on the side here. Along the way, there's a little camp with elves. Since my character was already here, so I just walked down here. There's one or two quests over here right at this point, and then you work your way down to Archer Guard Post. There's some quests around here that'll take you around this way, and then after those are done, you work your way down to Weenie Cabin. Weenie Cabin is right here, and after which, I'm sure one of those quests takes you down to Looney Cabin as well. You'll do those and then enter Grana. After Grana, you can go straight to Old Wisdom Tree. There's a lot of quests here, so if you're just a little bit of XP off, you can definitely just cut over to Old Wisdom Tree right away. And then you go into Drigan. Like I said, if you want the full 59 to 61 quest route, check out my other guide. That is still definitely valid. But you'll hit if you start at level 60, you'll hit 61 in no time before you even get to Drigan, I believe. All right, now let's talk about party grind. So there are quite a few spots where you can grind with a party now. They did convert older solo grind spots into party grind spots like Bassies and War Guns, but in reality, it's not really efficient to be grinding there, I believe. Personally, I think as soon as you're able to grind at Murmox, you should. It doesn't require exactly 240 AP. You can go in a little bit less with some decent buffs and kill those at a pretty decent pace, especially if you have two friends with you. This is probably one of the best party XPs in the game over here. I honestly say if you're looking for party grind, you know, get enough gear, get like at least Try or Tet Tavala gear, and you guys can go ham here. It's not too difficult at all. I know it says 240 AP, but that's a bit overkill in my opinion. All right, now I wanted to talk about power leveling. So there are some spots in the game which are pretty popular for power leveling. One of the most popular spots is Gyfin Underground. It is probably the best XP spot in the game. There are other places like Elvia Hex which have really good XP rates, but it's still not as good as Gyfin Underground. And if you want to get power leveled, any endgame spot is viable. All you have to do is find someone who's willing to let you leech XP off them and join their party while they grind for money and whatever. So if you find people in Gyfin Underground, a lot of them are going for their own XP, but you know, some people are nice and they let you leech off them, no problem. You know, you can find one of your friends or your guildies to help you with that. But Orcs is also a decent spot. I've had a couple of my characters power leveled there in the past. It's not too bad, but I'd say if you are going for the power leveling route, you can go ASAP to Gyfin Underground. That's probably going to be your best bet. And if you were doing like Hex or something, Hex is really good solo XP, but when you're trying to get power level there's a a lot of mobs, and the grind rotations are spread out in a larger area, so it's hard to be in range and not get in range of mobs, whereas Gyfins is pretty comfy. Orcs are pretty comfy over here to hide away from the grind spot and away from the mobs and still be safe. So there are a lot of spots in the game which you can use for power leveling. I'd say Gyfins is still the best. Murmox is still really good for party grind and power leveling. That used to be the OG spot for power leveling, but there are better spots in the game like Gyfins now, which are more efficient for that. So all in all you have to do is pop your XP buffs, make sure you have as much XP bonus active as possible, the bell buff, the artifact, and lightstone, every consumable that you have available to speed up the process. You just sit there, relax, while the grinder goes and knocks out a few levels for you. Alright, that's it for this video, guys. Please do like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed it, if you found it helpful. And lastly, if you have any additional tips you want to share with everyone, please do share them down below. I'd love to see them and it might help a few people. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.